Welcome to Friends and Fiction. 4 New York Times bestselling authors, endless stories. Novelists Mary Kay Andrews, Kristin Harmel, Kristy Woodson Harvey, and Patti Callahan Henry are 4 longtime friends with more than 70 published books between them. Together, they host Friends and Fiction, with author interviews and fascinating insider talk about publishing and writing, to highlight and support independent bookstores. They discuss the books they've written, the books they're reading now, and the art of storytelling. If you love books and you're curious about the writing world, you're in the right place.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Friends and Fiction Show. I'm Mary Kay Andrews.
And I'm Ron Block.
And this is Friends and Fiction, 4 New York Times bestselling authors, endless stories to support indie bookstores, authors, readers like you, and of course, our librarians.
Ta-da.
Like Ron.
Okay. Yeah. If you're not with us already, we hope you'll join our Facebook group, which is more, now I checked this morning, it's more than 318,000 members
Oh
strong.
my God, I have no
Isn't
idea.
It's crazy. Yeah, I love it. We'd also like to invite you to follow us on Instagram and YouTube and to subscribe to our Substack newsletter, which is full of awesome bonus content. You can find out more about our community and all we have to offer at friendsandfiction.com.
On this episode, we are so thrilled to welcome Jacquelyn Mitchard to discuss her new novel, The Bird Watcher, with this gorgeous cover, which was just released on December 9th. Okay, let us tell you about Jackie before we bring her on. Jacquelyn is her real name, but since we're all friends here, we're going to call her
Yeah,
Jackie.
we're all besties now, so.
Yeah. She is a New York Times bestselling author of more than 20 novels for adults and teenagers, and she is the recipient of Great Britain's Talk About Prize, the Bram Stoker and Shirley Jackson Awards, and was named to the shortlist for the Women's Prize for Fiction. Her first novel, The Deep End of the Ocean, was the inaugural selection of the Oprah Winfrey Book Club,
That's so cool.
with more than 3 million copies in print in 34 languages. It was later adapted into a major feature film starring Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes, and in addition to all that, there's more. Jackie's essay collection, The Rest of Us, Dispatches from the Mother's Ship, was drawn from her newspaper column syndicated by Tribune Media. Her essays have also been published in magazines worldwide, widely anthologized, and incorporated into school curricula. She also served on the fiction jury for the 2003 National Book Awards and was editor-in-chief of Merit Press, a young adult imprint under the banner of Simon & Schuster. Jackie is a distinguished fellow at the Ragdale Foundation and a DeWitt Clinton Reader's Digest fellow at the MacDowell Colony. She's also taught in MFA programs for creative writing at Vermont College of Fine Arts, Miami University of Ohio, and Western New England University. And I love this. She was a speechwriter for former U.S. Representative and Secretary of Health and Human Services, Donna Shalala.
A Chicago native, Jackie grew up the daughter of a plumber and a hardware store clerk who met as rodeo riders. An avid Italian cook, she lives on Cape Cod with her husband and their 9 children. Her new book, The Bird Watcher, is a page-turning drama that explores the beauty of female friendship, the relationship between money, power, and sex, and the very human desire to protect the ones we love most. It was just released on December 9th. Sean, would you bring Jackie on, please? Hi, Jackie.
Hello.
Thank
Welcome.
you for having me. This is very prestigious.
I
Say.
I don't know about that. Jackie, The Bird Watcher is such an intriguing story. Would you give us the elevator pitch? And, I understand the initial idea came from a criminal trial you covered years ago as a baby reporter, something that I connected with because several of my own novels were inspired by stories I covered as a baby reporter.
It was the first criminal trial that I ever covered. And I was 25 or 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman on trial was just like Felicity Wilde in the book. And the book is not a recapitulation of that story, but just like Felicity Wilde, she was a brilliant grad student in biology, studying ornithology, and gave that up to become a high-priced call girl, and then was accused of murdering her two most devoted clients for their insurance money. And she was convicted of one of the murders. I was sitting behind her in court when she was convicted. And she said, and I think this is the reason I wrote the novel, they got me for the one that I didn't do.
Ooh.
And I thought about that for so many years. And here is the other unusual thing. This was in Wisconsin. And when you live in Wisconsin, which is I guess sort of, well, at least it was at that time, a tender-hearted state toward felons, unless you are a truly committed murderer, a serial killer, unless you're Ed Gein, and you all know who he is. What
Yes.
the inspiration for Psycho. You are eligible for parole after 12 years. And after maybe 18 years, you're really eligible for parole. And if you've been a model prisoner, as the woman who is the actual Felicity Wilde, got college and prison and was a model prisoner, and never once in 35 years or more, no, in 40 years, has she applied for parole.
Wow.
God, there's another story right there.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's really
It definitely
crazy.
is.
Oh, so Jackie, your protagonist Renee is fascinating. A style reporter for a high-end fashion magazine based in Chicago. She's literally teaching herself to cover crime on the job, all while covering things like a Kate Spade pop-up shop. Where did Renee come from? Where was the inspiration for that?
I wanted someone who there aren't that kind of journalist anymore. I mean, there are a few high-end fashion magazines still in existence, Glamour, and a few others, but they used to be ubiquitous. And I wanted to find a job that she could be doing both online and in sort of a print space. So I had to invent a magazine that that she would be involved with, and that's what Fuchsia magazine is, a magazine that, because of hometown pride, is based in Chicago and still is in print. But also, I wanted to find a way that someone could be writing the story of Felicity Wilde, and who better to do this than her best friend growing up. They grew up together as next door neighbors. And though they have sort of lost touch with each other, they have never lost touch entirely. And Renee idolized Felicity. Renee wanted to be everything that Felicity was apparently effortlessly. And now she wants very much to exonerate her best friend, who it seems absolutely clear is guilty.
Nice, yeah.
Every sentence you utter about this book is going to make readers want to go out and grab it.
I hope so. It's
Yeah.
the first time I've ever tried to write about a crime.
Yeah.
Really about a crime or about a criminal trial. And it was a new set of challenges, but I was very committed to the story and very committed to finding out, answering that question, what would make her go to prison willingly? What would make an innocent woman go to prison without objecting? She must have been more afraid of something on the outside. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that
let's
was
talk
what.
let's talk about Renee and Felicity and the enduring quality of women's friendships, which is one of the major themes of The Birdwatcher. In the novel, Renee literally puts herself in harm's way in a dogged attempt to understand how her lifelong friend has ended up as a sex worker on trial for 2 murders. I'm wondering, have you had those kinds of friendships, those long-lasting friendships that, time doesn't affect them?
I have several, to my great gratitude. I have several friendships like that. Do you too?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
have not very many, but I have a few of them that nothing could change. And even perhaps something like this might not change it, because
Mhm.
I would never believe, as Renee says, she doesn't believe that Felicity would ever lie, because that was her basic tenet of faith. Of course, everyone would lie under the right circumstances, but she believes that absolutely in Felicity's innocence. And I think I have a few friends, maybe 3, for whom I would go into the dark to
Yeah.
try to save them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
have a group of women friends. We've all been friends since 7th grade.
That's
There's
exactly right. The
yeah.
same as me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
when you go through puberty and teen years, there's something there's something very bonding about that, especially for women.
Yeah. 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 Lifelong friendships are just so, I think they're just such a treasure to have, and you really hold them close. And like you said, you do anything for them.
And you have to take good care of those friendships.
Hmm.
I know a great many people who have like long-term acquaintances, but they only see them and only are in touch with them uh, sporadically.
Right.
And when you lose that touch, it's so hard to recover it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have
Yep.
my oldest friend from childhood, who I've been friends with for literally for 55 years.
Yeah.
Recently was diagnosed with lymphoma.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
terrible news. And she was a single mother, and has one daughter who's grown, who was born when she was a freshman in college. And this daughter really, adores her mother. And I adore her. She's my godchild. But she wanted her to use the treatment options that naturopathy offered, high doses of vitamin C and so forth. And I really went to war with her, risking estrangement from both of them. And my friend did finally try a course of traditional chemotherapy, because lymphoma, unlike other cancers, it can be cured. It is one of
Mm.
those that can, and she is cancer free now. And
Oh, good.
it was thrilling to me to be able to have that much agency in
Mhm.
something that was not my own life and not my own sister.
Yeah,
So
and
that was the point.
and Renee kind of has that agency eventually with Felicity.
She does.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
does. And of
Okay.
course, as you guys know, all fiction writers are, you're the screenwriter, you're the director, you make up all the lines, and you also, a part of you is the main character. It's a different, maybe a different part of you in every different book, but certainly in order to inhabit that character, you have to be that character on
Mhm.
some level.
Very true. Very true. Well, let's switch gears just a little bit and let's talk about research. Renee's research takes her into the Gentlemen's Club where Felicity formerly worked. We have to ask this question. Did your research take you on the same path?
It did not take me personally on the same path, but I was able to interview 2 of my friends who, wait for this, who during their younger years were bunnies at the Playboy Club in Chicago. I'm not making this up. And they had to go through the most extraordinary Victorian women lacing into their corsets. Did not go through more than these girls, and they were girls then, went through every
Right.
day to get dressed up to be a Playboy bunny. And then you had to learn to do these extraordinary things like the bunny dip, which is putting a drink on the
Mhm.
table while almost bending over backwards, in 5-inch heels without allowing anybody to touch you. So it was, I did go to several of what do you want to call them? I mean, I went to a strip club with a girlfriend to watch the dancers, and my God, they were extraordinarily beautiful. They were extraordinarily, what do I say, flexible,
Yeah.
and
That's a
and
good word.
charming. And I interviewed one of them, and that's where I got the intel that these are the cleanest girls in town, in the sense that they have to be perfectly groomed, perfectly tweezed, perfectly, you know, perfect in every way in order to do that. And you would think just the opposite, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Kind of would. In addition, Felicity, his lifelong passion has been ornithology, study of birds, and each of the chapters starts with a thumbnail sketch of different birds. Is that something that you share with the character? And if so, do you have a favorite bird?
I am not well, my kids would say differently, but I don't think of myself as a bird watcher who goes to the marsh uh to 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 look for a particular kind. But I suppose that my favorite bird is a red-tailed hawk. They have a lot of there is a lot of them around here on Cape Cod, and also what's called a roseate spoonbill.
I love roseate spoonbills.
Just absolutely the strangest looking bird in the world. It looks like some kind of thing that was drawn by a little kid. And
Yeah.
and yet
Yeah.
it's this amazing, graceful, and voracious hunting bird, water hunting bird. And so those who are my favorites. But, then I think I love American crows. I love the all the things that they can do, and the fact that they have the reason crows are so smart, and all corvids are so smart, is they have a version of a mammalian prefrontal cortex, so
Oh,
they can recognize faces, including their own, and they
Wow.
can do pattern recognition and answer questions. So their brains are different from other birds. And the word bird brain does definitely not apply to corvids, ravens, and crows.
that's the great thing about doing this show. You learn something new every time you talk
Every
to an
time.
author.
Yep.
So much of this book is set in the Midwest, in Sheboygan, Chicago, and the college town of Madison, Wisconsin. But toward the end of the book, the action shifts to South Florida. Could you talk about the importance of these very different settings to the plot?
I can talk about why it switched to South Florida at the end of the writing of the book,
Okay.
is because
Okay.
I was longing to get away from the grim Northeast at that point when I was finishing the story, because while Cape Cod does not get as cold as where I'm from, which is from Chicago,
Right.
and in Chicago and Wisconsin, where I grew up, it there were mornings when, I mean, more than once. This happened 3 times when I walked out and there was so much ice that the porch had fallen off the house. It literally froze off the house.
Yeah.
And to
I'd
walk
be like,
out, you
see ya.
had a yeah. Well, you know, when we moved here, I love the moody winter weather on Cape Cod, but I was longing for this sort of benediction of that
Mm.
warm air,
Mhm.
that warm, humid air that you walk out into and you think, I am in paradise. It just, and of course, that would have to be minus the kind of folks that would get mad at me, if I were there. But the only experience I've had like that was going to the Maui Writers Conference for all of the years that I went there. Every day, you just thought, how
Mhm.
could you? How beautiful it is here.
Mhm.
But I wanted Felicity and Rini also to be able to flee to somewhere kindly after going through the gray, grim, sort of cold metal reality of a criminal trial. And they did. And they managed
Yeah.
to I had to twist around all the demographics of their lives. But as it turned out, Felicity was able to follow Renee there because it didn't matter where she was as long as she was with her friend and her friend's family.
Yeah. You know, I grew up in the South. In fact, I grew up in Florida. But my father was from the South side of Chicago. And once I started traveling as an author, I was introduced to the concept of Midwest nice.
Yes.
Right. Which is really a thing. And it's still a thing. There is, if you, as my brother says, if you break down and your tire is flat and you're in Madison, Wisconsin, and someone gets out of their car and starts to come toward you with a tire iron, they're going to help you fix the tire and not kill you.
And not assault you.
Right.
Damn.
Right.
That is so true. One of the other overarching themes of the book is a mother's love and just how far a mother would go to protect her child. We know that you're the mom of 9 kids. Talk to us about Felicity and her mother, Ruth, and the choices they're forced to make.
Ruth is one of the nuttiest characters I've ever written about.
Mm-hmm.
And to follow her internal logic and the fact that the things she does are indeed for love in some ways. Some of the most awful things that people do are for love or out of protectiveness. And when the little girl Sparrow asks at the end of the book, is my granny a bad person? No one can really figure out what to tell her. She did terrible things. She crossed every line that there was to cross. Is she a bad person? Did she do that because she wanted to be bad? No, she didn't do it for real. She did it to be protective. And I suppose as a mother of all those kids that I have, all of them, the oldest is now pushing 40 and the youngest is pushing 20, that is there a limit to what I would do for them? No, there is not.
No.
There is no, I would definitely do wrong unless what they had done wrong was to one of the other ones. That would be the only caveat.
Oh yeah. That'd be a hard spot to be in.
Yeah. There's one, there's nothing I wouldn't do. There's no limit to the wrong that I would do.
Yeah. It just struck me. Tell us a little bit about the Felicity's father is a evangelical pastor. Was he a fun guy to write?
Very much fun. And of course, I know that, I'm going to walk out one morning and be struck by lightning and turn incinerated for writing about Reverend Wild in the way that I did. But in some ways, guys like that who are sort of showbiz preachers, they set themselves up as figures of parody. They're very charismatic and they're very persuasive. And we know from watching years of, that's not as, they don't proliferate as much now, but years of Jimmy Swaggart and other TV evangelists, there were no holds barred.
Jim Baker. I mean,
Jimmy can't be fake. There absolutely were no, excuse me. There were absolutely no stops on both their charisma and their ambition. And Felicity or Renee Bigelow's father, who is the devout atheist on the other side, and smells a rat in every form of religion. He is sort of the Ron Reagan of the book, and it just gives him such great delight to find out that what Reverend Wild is up to and how he's scamming his parishioners for money, and this is no secret because it happens in the first 30 pages of the book, has a second family and other children, while currently married to Felicity's mom, Ruth. So yeah, it was a ball. It was a ball. And I did it, I hope, I allowed him to be a human being who has a certain level of self-knowledge. And that, I guess, made it okay for me.
Yeah, I think you made him three-dimensional.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
So I had gotten an early audio version of the book, and I listened to it, and that was the character that really stood out in the audio for me. Do you have much involvement with the audio?
I did. I did this time. Went back a couple of times to working on the choice, because Reenie's the narrator, and I wanted her to sound the way I sound. And you don't think of people from the Midwest as having an accent, but we do have an accent.
You do.
And it's definitely like, if I would say my name, it would be Jackie, you know, like, I mean, yeah, there are definite things that it's not a mid-Atlantic accent, which is the sort of newscaster, neutral accent. So I had to find the person who sounded right to my ear. And I would never, I've read my own a couple of times back in the day. I would never do that again.
No.
You really have to be a consummate actor.
It's a lot harder than people think. So yeah, that's true. So we were talking about mothers a little bit ago, and I kind of equated you being the inaugural Oprah book, and she's kind of like the mother of all these writers that she really gives launches and gives a platform to. What was that like, and how does it feel looking back on being the first one?
It's a lot of fun to look back on it, and it was great fun to do it. I mean, it was crazy. But with that said, at the time that I wrote that book and at the time that it was published, the publisher told me not to expect anything from this. Because she told me, and this is a very smart woman, the manager of publicity, who's still a great friend of mine, said people who read and people who watch daytime TV, those are not compatible media. And so there won't be the people who watch Oprah Winfrey on TV are not going to grab this novel up. And
I know.
Yeah. I mean, by the first evening at the New York Public Library alone, there were 4,000 holds on the book.
Oh, I love that fact.
Yeah. And it was just a stunning surprise. In fact, it was the most funny part about it was that I lived in Madison, Wisconsin. Then I was the widowed mom in my late 30s of three little boys. And I had a little office in the basement. And I went, and at that time they had those answering machines, had those little tapes on them.
Yeah.
It would go for what, a minute or something, and or 2 minutes, and then boop, stop, you know. So I went down there and I played the message, and the voice said, "This is Oprah Winfrey, and I have loved The Deep End of the Ocean more than I've ever loved a book in the past 10 years, and I really want to talk to you about it." Well, I just erased that because I thought it was one of my girlfriends horsing around with me. Okay. I go down there the second morning. "This is Oprah Winfrey, and I really want to talk with you about onto the end of the tape." And I just erased that too, because I thought it was a prank. Well, I had a journalism intern from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. And the third day, there was another message. And he said to me, "Jack, I think this really is Oprah Winfrey. Listen to how mad she is." The voice on the tape said, "This is Oprah Winfrey, and I don't know if you even live here, but if you do, could you please do me the courtesy of returning my phone call?" Bang. And so I did. And of course, you know, she wanted to start the world's largest book club. Nobody believed that would be a good idea. But I thought I would be a person who had written a book. And it was already sort of a minor bestseller by that time. But it lifted my ability to write stories for a job from, you know, 0 to 60 overnight.
Yeah.
And so I would be grateful to her in any case. But look at the string of people who have been introduced to readers as a result of her passion for books.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay. For all of you watching and listening, we encourage you to wait. Did I miss a question I was supposed to ask? Where
you're
am
up
I?
above. You're up above on before closing announcements.
Oh, okay, Jackie. If you stick around. I got so wrapped up in the Oprah thing. I lost my place. Okay, Jackie, if you'd stick around, we have more to talk to you about. But first, a few quick reminders for our listeners and viewers out there.
For all of you watching and listening, we encourage you to rush out and buy your copies of The Birdwatcher, especially after this conversation. You know you're going to want to do that. The perfect place to do it is in the Friends and Fiction shop on bookshop.org. You'll not only be getting it at a discount, but all your purchases there support our show, our guests, and indie bookstores nationwide.
And don't forget to visit friendsandfiction.com for details on our show schedule, upcoming in-person events, and links to our merch store, our Substack newsletter sign up, and the award-winning Friends and Fiction official book club with Brenda and Lisa. Their first book club discussion of the new year, I can't believe it's almost 2026.
I know.
Will happen on Monday, January 26th, when they will host debut novelist Rebecca Armitage to discuss her irresistible modern-day fairy tale, The Heir Apparent.
Can't wait. I've heard so many good things about that book. And speaking of our Substack, you can read all our free weekly posts on the Substack website or app, or subscribe for free to get them directly in your inbox. And if you upgrade to our paid Substack, which costs only $5 a month, you'll have access to deeper dives with all our weekly show guests like Jackie, plus occasional roundtable discussions like the recent one that Meg did on debut novels and crime fiction, and in-depth interviews and features like the Q&As Kristin did with novelist Jamie Brenner and Meg did with Jesse Q. Sutanto. If you enjoy tuning in for our weekly author interviews, this is a big way you can support us for about $1 a week. Check us out at friendsandfiction.substack.com.
Okay, Jackie, back to you. Where can folks catch up with you? Are you going to go out on the road on book tour?
I'm going a few places. I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to, and that's all on that'll all be, as those dates are added, that will be on my website. There's only one Jacquelyn Mitchard that is an unusual name, and it comes from the lyrical word meat yard, and here I'm a vegetarian for my whole life. Yep. But oddly enough, it's JacquelynMitchard.com, and on my Instagram is Jacquelyn at Jacquelyn Mitchard, and so forth. So they're all under my name, and you can find out where I can meet with readers, which is a delight to me, around the New England and in some places in the Midwest. But also I do an Instagram videos all the time, and Substacks as well, in which I share all kinds of things, not just about writing, but mostly about reading and also about eating, because I'm an accomplished Italian cook, and I share all kinds of recipes and things like that on my Substack, a feature called Cooking the Books.
Oh, that sounds.
I'm in.
Ron loves to cook, and so do
I'm on it.
Yeah.
I hope you will. I hope you will look at it, and also answering some questions. And I have opened it out to any kind of question, and you would not believe the things that people expect me to know by virtue of having 5 sons and 4 daughters.
Oh, I'm sure that's probably a book of its own.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
Jackie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled. It was a wonderful time, and I'm going to get the T-shirt. I'm going to go over to the merch place and find a way to do that.
Well, it was great talking to you. Thanks for being with us on Friends and Fiction. And I can't wait. I'm running right now to go look at some of those recipes on your Insta.
I know. I'll be there.
A huge fan, Ron. It was a wonderful pleasure to meet you, and
all
you
as
writers
well.
adore librarians. We light candles every night.
We do.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So be sure to tune in on January 7th when Kristin and I will be back to welcome Brad Meltzer to discuss his new novel, The Viper. That show will air on the Friends and Fiction Facebook page and YouTube channel on Wednesday, January 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And it will be published to our podcast for your listening pleasure on Friday, January 10th.
Thanks to all of you out there for being with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Thank you for tuning in. You can join us every week on Facebook or YouTube, where our live show airs on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram. We're so glad you're here.